We liked how user-friendly it was. We liked how seamless it was for students to be able to access and to be able to respond to. We loved the idea that the prompts were read to the students, and regardless of age group, that was an option for all students, to make sure that it was accessible for all. Thank you for the approachability, the quickness in your responses and your feedback. Again, that was the first thing that kind of drew us to Pulse, was that we knew that there was a team that was responsive to us, that was interested in our success as much as we were. So very much appreciate the work that you do too. Historically, traditionally, we focus on the core subjects. And, with regards to those things, we do a really good job of systematically identifying student needs and responding to them. And then with regards to, probably equally, if not more important skills of social emotional learning, we kind of leave that up to chance. And students may learn it, they may not, but it hasn't been intentional, it hasn't been by design. So we were looking for a process to proactively assess those skills. That was the first thing that we were looking for, is a program, a system, a software, something that was going to give us a read on those types of essential skills. Now, through this process, we hadn't even really dug deeply into CASEL. Wisconsin has its own SEL standards, and they're based on CASEL. They work very much in marriage with CASEL. But we really started with just kind of identifying essential academic and social behaviors. And later in cross-checking, we identified that CASEL was the framework that we were looking for. And so this was all kind of simultaneously, in a way fortuitous, that Satchel Pulse also happened to be rooted in those, in the kind of the gold standard of social emotional learning standards with CASEL. A couple of the things that we loved about Satchel Pulse that we didn't necessarily get the same feeling from the other vendors was the scene. We knew that we had access to support if we needed it. We also really appreciated the inventory of interventions and how high quality they were. Just looking through them, they're Brene Brown. They are the gold standard when it comes to lessons and interventions with regards to social emotional learning. And we're excited to see that is continuing to grow. In our system, we kind of very quickly grew from intervening with a couple of students to intervening with 68 students. We're not a big school, but we're intervening with 68 students at a tier 2 level. And that's 20% of our students that we were intervening on. And we were able to be very targeted and very specific with what skills we were intervening on. And we had that inventory of that library of interventions that we could pull from to give exactly what that student needed at the exact time that they needed it, from highly qualified individuals to the other parts and pieces that we liked about Satchel Pulse is the grouping piece, that it pretty easily and seamlessly analyzed the results for us. So, we could set those numbers, and we're still kind of in the experimentation phase with regards to that, but we could say, 5%, the ideal, and it was defaulted to this, but the ideal RTI model has 5% of students at tier 3, 20% at tier 2 and tier 3. And we could kind of set those parameters, and then it would identify those students that were in those tier 2s and tier 3s. And furthermore, even group them and say, these are students, and we can set the parameters for that too. The fact that we could say, it doesn't matter to us if they're in grades 1, 2, or 3. That's close enough that they can all be in the same group as long as they're all working on the same skill. So another thing that, traditionally, historically, students were grouped by grade level, and they were grouped by, these students are all struggling with behavior, right? And now we can say all of these students are struggling with the same skill. We've got the high quality content, the high quality curricular resources to draw from, high quality staff, and now the information to say this is exactly what these students need. So we can put them in the right place, the right time, with the right things, with the right people. We are cautious. We want to be very responsible with the duty of whether to put things on teachers' plates and when and how we do that. the reciprocal accountability of that, making sure that it's doable, making sure that we're clear as far as how it's done, and do all of our teachers feel like they have the resources and the skills to be able to accomplish that. One of the things we were very pleasantly surprised by is how user-friendly, how accessible it was for our staff to be able to do. I made a quick 15-minute, it wasn't even 15 minutes, tutorial video of how it is to complete the screening assessment and also the diagnostic assessment. Sent that out. I don't even know how many individuals had to use that. And then, at 30 minutes and our classroom teachers had it done for their class, that screening window. The students, even more of a pleasant surprise with how quickly they took to it. So we integrated this into our SEL class, our specials SEL class. So there was a time and a place that wasn't, again, being very diligent about when and how it is that we're putting things on classroom teachers' plate, or trying to take away, not trying to take away, but as a result, it would take away time from some of the other things and foci that our teachers have. But the students now are able to complete that screener in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, as far as an efficient assessment that has, powerful levers to inform your system of supports, very pleasantly surprised with how efficient it is with regards to time and resources. Satchel Pulse allows us the tool and the measurables to say, here's where the skills that we're trying to get students to know and be able to do, and here's how we know that students have learned it. Because we're measuring absolutely every single one of those skills that we deem to be essential, and we have quantifiable data, though it is subjective, but quantifiable data from the student's perspective and the adult perspective, that they are getting it or they're not, and we can respond immediately with that. So the why is baked into the bread, right? When we go into this calling, it's not a career, it's a calling. We go into it knowing that we want to ensure success for our students, and so it is a no-brainer that we need to have something. And with my successor, we have the evidence, right? We have the evidence of, we did this for, it hasn't even been a year, Jessica. It's kind of interesting that you're asking for my testimonial, right? Because we vetted, we did all the vetting process last summer. And then we did a lot of learning on the front end, the reciprocal accountability. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? And it wasn't until January that we did our first screening window. And it just happened to coincide with when our social worker joined our team. So it was a lot really quickly. And we also, were able to see very quick results and benefits from doing the right work the right way with the right information. It was very easy to kind of build a compelling case to continue that work when we've seen the evidence from the last 5 months. And we're just getting into it. And now we're building a system this next year to make this really a forefront of the conversations with weekly, we call them student support meeting rotations, and Satchel Pulse data is going to be right at the forefront of all of those conversations to collaborate around, to say, here's what we want students to know and be able to do, just like we do with reading and math. And this is going to be part of our collaborative team process, is ensuring learning with regards to social emotional learning too. And so we're going to be doing the screening once every 6 weeks, and we're going to be meeting once every 3 weeks to talk about that data and how it is that we're ensuring that learning at the tier 1 universal level. How it is that we're responding for those students that have been identified needing tier 2, and for those students that tier 2 is not showing the amount of growth that we need to. And we've got resources and by way of our social worker and by way of the data to suggest, this student needs more. So it's a no-brainer. I really can't put it any other way.